We're with Stephen Maguire, Head of Performance and Coaching with Scottish Athletics. Today, Stephen, we're talking about the new performance staff structure and an approach to events. We announced it a few weeks ago. Can you maybe explain the approach, which I think places more of an emphasis on event groups?
Yeah, and I think it's a natural progression on a lot of good work that's been done over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You know, and it's now recognising that to really drive it forward, that we need individuals to have really clear focuses on what each event group does. And I suppose the nice thing about our sport, and also the challenging thing about our sport, is if you look at endurance, for example, endurance is at pretty much an all-time high where you look at talent at the very, very top end. And you look at throws, and you look at the work that needs to be done at throws, and absolutely we've got a couple of high-quality throwers. But is there depth? No. Is there a progression? No. So we've got to grasp that. And that's where we've come from, with the idea of really, really looking at each individual event group and trying to listen to the coaches, trying to listen to the clubs, and people will see over the next few weeks what we're trying to do is how to develop, what do we need to do to develop. And we need to get away from the stage of us kind of guessing what needs to be done, is that we need to have more, I suppose, awareness of the reality of different situations. So if you look at Mark Pollard, for example, and you look at endurance, I want Mark to be absolutely aware, which he is, of what's needed to be done at the top end. But I also want him to start influencing, the athlete and the coach journey as well, through the clubs, into the different age groups, into academy, into under-20s and into under-23s, so that we as a sport are able to listen to what our coaches want and then to be able to help them deliver what they need.
I know you came in, I think it was last September, so there's been a lot of planning in terms of this and various points in the process. Angela Mudge, for example, has been working with us as the Hill lead, I think, for at least 6 months. Yeah. It's taken a bit longer to sort of firm up on throws and jumps, but obviously it was a step-by-step approach, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and again, it's I think it's a reflection on a coaching process as well. Good coaching is about being patient. And you could easily jump in and do the same stuff and everything like that. But again, if we're really honest in things, that you look at the depth of stuff, if we're to continue to do all the same stuff, then nothing's really going to change. Angela's a very good example. Angela is enhancing already the work that has been done in the past, and she has grasped things and developing. We have now a significant amount of hill runners who are going to the European Championships, and that's tremendous. That's not all down to Angela, but it's up to Angela to drive it and everything else. So she's doing a tremendous job. That's what my expectation is throughout the sport, is that we start recognising talent, we start recognising coaches who are out there on a daily basis doing it, and helping coaches. So it's a big part of that job as well.
Well, two of your appointments are in throws and jumps, are Alison Gray and Gillian Cook as event coordinators. You're very specific about that as a title.
Very, very specific in it. I know if we use Gillian, for example, tons of medals, experience at the very top end, world champion in a different sport, but you know what, it's very applicable to what we need. Gillian knows what it takes to win. Gillian's main job is to grab that stuff where maybe endurance was 3 to 5 to 10 years ago or whatever, and see what we need to do. We've already got junior long jumpers, for example, who are tremendous. So there's been really good work done. Gillian's job is to coordinate and to grab that information and to start rolling that out. What do we really need to do? And we're, I'll be really honest with you, we're going to probably go down, we are going to go down getting the really, really best athletes throughout the age groups together in a national squad type thing. It's not going to be every man, every woman involved and things like that. It's going to be very specific. But we're going to widen out that education then to every coach in the country that can come and see what we're doing. We're going to communicate what's going to be done at the sessions, but more importantly, within that, we're going to be very, very specific and going out to clubs, working with clusters of clubs. So we're really, really working at the pathway.
Well, the marathon project, that sticks out as one that's sort of new in terms of the roster in a sense, but to my mind, you almost see it as something where we're playing to our strengths. We've got some good marathon runners at the moment, so can we bring a bit more depth? Can you just give us a little bit more detail about that? Is it about trying to have full teams at Birmingham 2022 in terms of the marathon?
It is, and it's making it's. Do you know what? If we even bring it back a wee bit, we've got a world-class coach in Robert Hawkins. And particularly his challenge working with his son and everything else. How do you coach your son in an endurance event? It's really, really difficult. Robert has done an amazing job. I want to share Robert's knowledge. Robert wants to share his knowledge. Absolutely, we want full teams. But more importantly, we want to give people the opportunity, we want to give the endurance community the opportunity to go and become marathon runners rather than being 10k runners, half marathon runners and whatever. And Robert is very energised. He really believes in the project. I look at what's going on around half marathons, and I'm not an endurance coach, but you can see that there's a ton of talent there. And whether we like it or not, I'm coming from a sprints background, Scotland will always have a group of endurance athletes that we need to look at, we need to look after, and we need to encourage to go through the distances.
We'll just moving on then, probably two sprints, because you did mention Mark Pollard in endurance, but Mark in endurance and Alan Scott in sprints, hurdles and relays, they've got very clear goals now, where they've been working probably in more general terms up till now over the recent years. Can you explain a little bit more what you're asking of them?
Yeah, if you look at Alan, for example, what I want Alan is to own sprints. So at the moment people refer to me because I've come up from the GB end and everything in sprints. Alan Scott is a tremendous coach. He's an athlete, he's competed at the very, very highest end. We're going to develop the relay program, which he's already started, and they've already had practices and we're already seeing the benefit from it. But we're using relays as the vehicle to be able to upskill people, to educate people. We're not going to neglect hurdles, but we've no really top hurdlers at the moment. How do we do that? Alan's job is to help the clubs, help the coaches, and help the athletes develop. He's not going to coach everyone. I don't want him to coach everyone, but it's about enhancing the coaches that we already have. We have some tremendous sprints coaches. Some of them need a little bit of confidence, some need a little bit of help. But you know what? The fundamentals are there to be able to deliver things. It's not all dead in sprints, and you can see that with the selections now at under 20, under 23 level. And that's testament to the work that's been done in the clubs. But it's to enhance that. But my biggest message throughout everything, it's about the athletes and the clubs and the ability for us to be able to influence the personal coaches of those. I don't want Alan Scott, Gillian Cook, Alison Gray and all those people, Mark Pollard, I don't want them to have these big groups that they're coaching. That's the wrong way to do things. It's to enhance what's already going on.
When it's a small country and quite a small sport in a sense, everybody pulling in the similar direction is a massive bonus, but a massive must, isn't it?
Yeah, and the only thing we can do is opportunity. The only thing we can do is to give people opportunities. But our opportunity has to be good enough that they want to do it. If our opportunity is just it's just a throwaway type thing, or if it's not going to be of benefit, or it's going to be a tick box, then I wouldn't want to turn up. So my challenge to us in Scottish Athletics, my challenge to the coaches out there is to tell us what they want, and then we'll develop the opportunity. And you know what? My experience in Scotland is if you give people the opportunities and give them what they want to be able to do and deliver and whatever, and if you can package that into an environment that you can create something, then I think people will grasp it.
Thanks, Stephen.